Hello and welcome to The Ripple Impact, the podcast where we dive into those fascinating small moments, big decisions and unexpected ripples that create waves of change in brands, businesses, leadership and in life. I'm Laura Barber, founder of The Ripple Impact and a brand strategist who spent over 20 years inside global giants like PepsiCo and Coca-Cola, helping leaders turn human stories into brand growth. Each week, I sit down with bold thinkers, founders, and what we call wave maker guests to explore the ripple moments that have shaped their journey and the lessons you can take to transform your own business and your brand. Today, I'm absolutely thrilled to have Liz Byrne with me. Liz is the founder of The Other 67, a people development and leadership business. Liz's story spans leading roles in FMCG, brave pivots from corporate to well-being to entrepreneurship, and life events that reframed what really matters. Liz is one of those rare people who blends serious commercial firepower with real heart. With over 25 years working across global consumer brands as a commercial consultant, category leader and shopper expert, she knows exactly what high performance looks like in the real world. Add to that her experience as a gold medal winning athlete for England, qualified coach and facilitator, and you get someone who doesn't just talk about leadership and growth, she lives it. Liz is passionate about people, teams, and leaving things better than she finds them. Liz, welcome to the show. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here with us today.
Oh, thank you, Laura. You've made me blush. I mean, that's a lovely introduction, and it's such a delight to join you on your journey. So thank you very much for welcoming me in that way.
Oh, thank you. So it is so wonderful to have you here today, having worked together those many moons ago. So can you give our listeners a little insight into you and your career today and what brings you here today?
If I summarise my career, if I was to talk about it in the context of a book, it would probably have 4 chapters to it. And the first chapter would be the FMCG category management chapter. And that's 20 years. So the bulk of this book is that first chapter, and where you and I met in the General Mills world. So worked for the likes of Kellogg's and Nestle, both as an employee and as a consultant at the start of when category management and shopper insight was just in its infancy back in kind of the year 2000. So I cut my teeth at Kellogg's and had the pleasure of really having great grounding. And then that took me on a journey through that kind of commercial world. Then quite a significant life event happened, and the tectonic plates of my life shifted a lot, should I say. And that prompted a, what's life all about moment, and caused me to just reappraise what my career trajectory was and what was really important to me. And what I was doing outside of work actually became a louder voice in terms of the things that I was interested in. So I decided to change track and become a well-being specialist, but taking well-being solutions back into the corporate world that I understood. And I started a business doing that and got to a point of critical mass, and COVID happened. So chapter 2 is this wellbeing business that was relatively short-lived because of COVID, because all my clients were, it was an office-based solution, and I lost all of my clients within 48 hours as everybody began to work from home. So COVID and that period was an interesting time for me, and I came out the other side thinking I need a little bit more stability and security. And I know category management, and I know the world of FMCG well, and the world keeps turning there. So chapter 3 would be the return to FMCG, and had some great times working again for some of the big brands that we all know and love in the supermarket. And again, then life events up to 3 years ago, perhaps some significant things were going on outside of the 9 to 5. And again, taking a little look inwards and how I was feeling and what was important to me made me reevaluate what my career path was and what was important to me, what made me sing, what made me be the best version of myself. So that's when the people development bell was really ringing, because what runs through all of these 4 chapters is the red thread of people and the human. And increasingly, that has become a stronger red line through my journey. I love the people that I work with and the people that work with me in my teams through my career have been the really important part. And therefore, I had to listen to that and join together the skills that I have in terms of connection, learning and delivering, bringing people on a journey. And I find myself in chapter 4, the current chapter, which is the other 67. And basically, I help people, individuals and businesses become better versions of themselves, commercially and individually.
Amazing. Like, it's such an incredible thing to even find a red thread through 4 big significant chapters in your life and go, actually, what makes me sing, and what a lovely thought that is, what makes me sing is people. And that if that's at the heart of my business, then that's my purpose. And I think sometimes, a lot of people in life continue to search for a sense of purpose. So to find it, I think is such a blessing and such a lucky thing to be able to go, it's this, and to be able to follow that with such passion and such conviction. How amazing. And it warms my heart, because at the heart of my business is people and human storytelling. So I'm completely with you on that. Thank you so much for walking us through the chapters and such big ones. And as you said, such big things happening in your life that meant that you reassessed and gave yourself the time to reflect and think on where you go next. But thinking back and going back to the beginning, what I loved when we talked last was you shared this wonderful story about a magical boss, and this beautiful story of your early boss at Kellogg's, and someone who really shaped how you think, and someone who you didn't even realize at the time was truly magical, almost until you kind of looked back on it, and how actually that has shaped a lot of your approach and your thinking and your leadership. Can you take us back to those early career moments in FMCG and at Kellogg's, and what their influence has really had on you and your style and the work that you do today?
Absolutely. And it's a real pleasure to be able to talk about this, because the human that I'm going to spend some time sharing with you, he's no longer with us. He died age 49, and he's a loss as a friend and also a loss to the world, because he was a brilliant human being. So I champion his legacy, and it's a real privilege to share it. So his name's Chris Dootson, affectionately known as Doots. He called himself a thick bloke from St. Helens. And when you start from that point, you kind of go, we've got a real human here. The ego, doesn't enter, Doots's world. He just kind of shows up as him. And that started from day one. So I'd been through the interviews and I turned up, day one at Kellogg's and all excited. And this is the professional world, and this is how it's done. And Doots, took me to the cafe, and we sat down, had a cup of tea. And the first thing he said to me was, Liz, I've never managed anybody before, so I don't really know what I'm doing. And at that point, I thought, show me the exit. What on earth have I done? And he then did something brilliant, and it stuck with me. And he said, what I do have is experience of where I've been managed poorly. And therefore, if I don't know what I'm doing, I'm going to do the opposite of what was poor behavior when I was managed. And it stuck with me because sometimes we don't know the answer. We haven't figured it out. We haven't walked that path.
Yeah.
But we can often bring to mind what doesn't work, or what the wrong thing to do might be, or the wrong way to show up. And if you do the opposite to what the wrong way is, you're probably going to be some way to being successful in the choices that you make. He was an outstanding boss. He also showed me that you don't have to know the answer to everything. And there were times, and I remember the very first time that this happened, he was, head of category management. And I was doing my thing, and I'd been asked by one of my commercial colleagues to do something, and I was a little bit puzzled, and I didn't quite know where to go with it. So I went and spoke with Doots, and I said, Doots, I've been asked this. I don't really know the answer. I don't really know where to go next. And he said, let's have a look. And he said, to be honest, Dingo, he used to call me Dingo. To be honest, Dingo, I don't know the answer either, but pull up a chair. Let's work it out together. And he did this time and time again. He problem solved with you. And that really increased my respect for him.
Yeah.
because he was willing to go, I don't know everything. I'm not the
Mm.
fount of all knowledge, but I'm prepared to go on that learning journey with you and coach you and coach myself in how we get better as a function. So that was one of the things that he demonstrated. And as part of this, he also had this amazing ability to put difficult concepts into such a simple format as well. So he was the master of a doodle. So he'd get a piece of paper and a pen, and he would draw draw the thing out,
Mhm.
whether it would be a graph or a concept or whatever. So he had this magical power. He was the smartest guy I've ever worked with, and a brain the size of the moon. But yet he was able to, in just a few doodles, be able to magically transform an idea into something that was really easily understood. And he did that throughout all of his
Mm.
interactions, whether he was at board level shaping strategy or
Wow.
with Tesco, um, encouraging them to increase the size of their category space or whatever the commercial angle was.
Yeah.
He just had this magical way of translating ideas into simple form. And again, it's that kind of humble, you don't have to make it complicated. I'm this thick bloke from St. Helens, keep it simple. So that was another element. He
Mm.
also was the champion of fun as well. He allowed us to let loose on a Friday afternoon and be playful, and he encouraged that. And some would say, well, that never the twain can meet, that you can
Mm.
have this kind of fun and playful
Yeah.
dynamic whilst able to really knock it out of the park. And actually, we needed the play in order to
Yeah.
knock it out of the park because we worked so well as a team.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted to work in our team. We want to be in Doots's team. Look at how much fun they have, and they're also really delivering.
And they're
So it was that
passionate.
special
Yeah.
blend of, we play together, we work together, and we work hard, and we have each other's backs. And it was just, I didn't really know it at the time, but it was the epitome of a high performing team as I look
Mm.
back on it. And Doots and his way of being actually shapes the material that I now use in the
Yeah.
delivery room on what good leadership looks like and how high performing teams can truly come together. And it's not rocket science. It's these simple things that Doots
Yeah.
demonstrated, 30 years ago now. He's sorely missed.
Oh, it's such a wonderful story because I feel like I know him just from that story alone. Like we didn't even get into the full story when we talked last time, but the way you bring him to life, it just seems like it's just such an honest, down to earth, straight talking person that candidly didn't feel like they were probably different in work and out of work. That's the sense I get from how you described it, and just this honesty of let's figure it out together. What a lovely, honest, humble, candid way of operating in arguably what's quite a corporate environment. And there's so much power in that because there's no pretense, there's no show, there's no acting, there's no pretending, there's no script. There's just, this is me. I've never managed a person before, so let's figure it out and go from there. What strength in vulnerability, though, to share that and to be honest and just say, I don't really know here. Let's figure it out together. And the trust and the bond that created right from the off is such a wonderful story that you don't have to have it all figured out. I've often felt that pressure actually that I had to have all the answers, especially when you get into a management role. You got people that look to you for guidance, but you don't necessarily have to have the answers. So what a powerful story.
And I think it creates that psychological safety in a team that
Yeah.
if your leader, your boss, demonstrates that humility to say, I don't know the answer. We don't all have to know the answers.
Yeah.
Actually, that gives you permission to stick your hand up when, actually, I'm having trouble with this assignment. I don't really know where to go next.
Yeah.
It's all right for me to declare that because my boss declared that to me. He doesn't know the answer.
Yeah.
And then it was like, right, well, we've got to figure it out for the good of the business, right? What we're going to do, how we're going to shape this. And so there was so much learning in that, so much kind of growth and development for us as individuals, but also as a function. It was really simple. And like you say, sometimes we get really paralyzed. I've got to know the, the A to Z of everything. We don't.
We don't. Yeah, that's so powerful. And I feel like as well that he was the kind of boss that would have had your back as well. That not just a
Absolutely.
not just psychological safety within the team, but also within the wider organization. So if you were going out into a presentation or challenging a team or bringing an idea, that he would back you.
Yeah, absolutely. And he demonstrated that time and time again. And so there was protection in that. But he also wasn't shy on giving you a bit of a prod and, going, yeah, right, now's your time. You've got to step into this space. I believe in you. Whether consciously or not, he'd done the groundwork to be able to encourage us to do that and us feel comfortable, or uncomfortable doing it, but knowing that, do you know what, if we fall, we're not going to hurt ourselves.
Yeah.
So he was really fabulous at that.
Yeah. And what lessons have you taken from him into how you operate today in your leadership and what you do with the other 67? Is there elements of him throughout the work that you do now?
Oh, 100%. I mean, my kind of introduction to management actually is pretty much the Doots model of how to do it. And, it's my version. One of the things that I'm really passionate about is that the realities, as you said in the introduction, the realities in the commercial world and how you get the best out of the human. So, yeah, right. I do have Doots, very much in my head when I'm doing kind of the management piece, but also personally as well. When you're in the room and a delegate asks you a question or you're in a tricky spot in the workshop, how do you comfortably say, I don't quite know the answer to that one, but let's have a think about what the answer could be, and working it out in the room. It's not disastrous if you're not the finished article. And the learning that you get personally and professionally from walking on those bumpy paths is infinitely better than being the genius in the room that just knows everything. Where's the fun in that?
Exactly. Where's the fun in that? And this idea of constantly learning as well, and that not just not knowing it all, but not thinking that you know it all, so that you stop learning, is always a dangerous space to be in, because the world changes so quickly, and this ability to learn and almost unlearn, I think, is really powerful for people too.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right.
Tell us about your sporting life, because incredible accolades, and I mentioned it very, very briefly in the introduction, but wind us back to hockey and the incredible things that you've done in the past and is now what is coming again in your future. So 2 years ago, you found yourself on the pitch playing for England, winning gold. Can you take us back to those early moments on the hockey field? And you didn't actually have a traditional path into the elite sport that is playing for England. Can you tell us what happened in the moment of becoming an England player and almost talking yourself out of it?
Yeah, and I am smiling, Laura, because to hear you say that I play hockey for England, it just still feels like a weird label to have. I'm incredibly proud to have represented the country, a sport I love. So how this came about was I've played hockey all of my life, as long as I can remember. So for a long time, in the days when I was crafting my skill on the hockey pitch, it was when there wasn't a pathway like there are now for juniors. You just played at your local club and played a bit at the weekend. I have my dad to thank for introducing me to hockey, and he's been a lifelong hockey person. So kind of by osmosis, I ended up on the hockey pitch and played all my life. And then as my hockey career developed, it was social, it was recreational, it was a bit of fun, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and managed to get into the regional squad a few years ago. So representing the Midlands. And it was within that group that one or two of the ladies were part of the England setup, and were playing for England. And they said, Lizzie, you need to go to trials. And I was like, oh, I won't go. And I took this story back to my daughter, who was about 11 at the time. And I said, somebody says I should maybe trial for England. I don't think that's me, Holly. She just turned around to me and she said, as children often do, why wouldn't you? You really enjoy it. You're good at it. You'll have fun. You'll see your friends. And what if it works out okay? What if you get in? And when she put it, in those basic terms, I did think, well, what have I got to lose here? And it's part of the learning journey. If it doesn't work out, I've learned something along the way. So I went through the process of trialing, and fantastic group of players and coaches and what have you. So I was absolutely stunned when I got the call up. And I have to say, having a child is one moment of euphoria, but it's quite a different, unique like joyful moment in your life. So if you put that one to one side, that was, when I got that call up, the most amazing feeling of euphoria and joy and elation I have ever had. I nearly popped out of the ceiling. It was just
I was going to say, did you
unbelievable.
scream? Did you shout? Did you cry? Did you how did you react in that
It,
moment when
it,
they call
it
you?
was it was all of those things, Laura, because I genuinely couldn't believe it, and I still can't. I have the gold medal, and we went to the European Cup, and which was in the glamorous location of Nottingham, as opposed to some exotic European city. But it did mean that my daughter and my friends and my family could come and watch and be part of that journey as well. And we were successful. We won the gold medal. As I drove away that day, having had the medal ceremony, and we left, and there's myself and my daughter in my van, and I said, I've done it now, Holes. I've achieved something I never thought was ever possible. I think that's it. I'm not going to trial again, because every year that you have to retrial, they do a new squad every year. I said, that's me. I'm not going to trial again. And she just turned to me and she said, yes, you are. And for a variety of reasons, I couldn't actually trial in the previous year, but I've gone through the trial process again just recently, and I will be representing England again at the World Cup in July and August in Rotterdam this time. So we go again.
Wow. It's so incredible. Wow. I love that it hasn't even sunk in for you properly yet, and you're about to do it again. That is so amazing. It says so much about you, though, in terms of you're just oh, it doesn't, when you say that, it's just so incredible. And I just love the honesty, the candor, and the straight talking of an 11-year-old going, why on earth wouldn't you do that? Go for it. How wonderful for your daughter to say that and to be the little nudge along the way to do it. Wow. What has that taught you about confidence?
What it's taught me about confidence is quite unbelievable, really, because I can go back to that time of thinking, I'm not going to trial, and my daughter saying, well, what if it all works out? Because often we don't try things because we think of the worst case scenario, or that it's not going to work out, and we prime ourselves for failure.
Yeah.
And she primed me for success. And so now I do try and say to myself, what if it all works out? What if the outcome is a positive one for a variety of things? And you perhaps talk to 100 examples during a day where you think, oh, probably not. Oh, well, what if it all works out? What if the outcome is positive? It has shifted my ability just to go, do you know what? I'm just going to take my hands off the handlebars and just see where this goes. What if it all works out? And actually giving that over to the universe almost is actually really helpful. You got to put the hard work in. You don't get called up for England and then just rock up on the European Cup and win a gold medal. There are steps. You have to take accountability, but pushing yourself into that space to just give something a go and then, oh, actually, this is something's good to come out of this. And oh wow, I can be a gold medalist. So it's taught me, just give it a go.
Yeah.
What's the worst that can happen?
Do you think you'd have done it if she hadn't have said that?
I don't think so.
Really? Wow.
So. And that talks to the work that I maybe needed to do on myself at the time. And I don't know that I would have done. We can put blockers. We can get in our own way.
Totally. It's so easy to be your own worst critic. I'm very guilty of this. I set myself a seriously high bar, and even if I meet it, sometimes you don't even take the time to celebrate what you actually achieve, and then you still criticize it. Well, it could have been better. I could have done that differently. And it's like, hang on a minute, it did actually do the thing that I thought I couldn't. I did actually achieve it. So, wow, how amazing for her to say that and for her to take you into the journey that you had. How did it feel when they played the national anthem?
Oh, I mean, it's just that the whole kind of concept of being part of that environment, getting the kit when the kit arrives, and it's actually got 3 lions on my shirt, and my name on the back. It's that wow, and being part of the formality of an international sporting event. It's not the Olympics, don't get me wrong. It's the, a tier or two below that. But that whole kind of pomp and circumstance and, the regime that England set up and that squad had to have in order to be successful has taught me a huge amount about high performing teams and teamwork on and off the pitch, and has actually been, I suppose, the catalyst to why the other 67, my business, has come into being as well, taking those principles of kind of commercial, but also hockey, teamwork and success, and bringing those two together.
Incredible. And you mentioned the other 67. Tell our listeners and our YouTube watchers the story of what the other 67 means, because it's such a beautiful story for a brand name and it's such a powerful lesson for people just in the name of your business. Can you please tell us that story, because it's such a powerful one?
The other 67 is a reference to a hockey match, believe it or not, which is traditionally 70 minutes long. And some guru has established that of those 70 minutes, a hockey player is only actually on the ball for 3 minutes of those 70. But what makes a really strong and capable hockey player and a great team player is not what they just do in that 3 minutes, it's what they do in the other 67. So whether that's, running off the ball, championing your team, on the bench even, how are you showing up and being your best possible self in those 67 minutes, as well as the 3 minutes when we're in the spotlight. And I take that philosophy from the hockey pitch through into the leadership classroom, because in business and in high performing teams, it's not what you're doing when you're in front of Tesco trying to sell. It's not just what you're doing in the boardroom when you're trying to convince your sales director you need more headcount. It's what you do outside of the spotlight to get to that point where you can be successful when you're in it.
It's such a wonderful story. It's almost a story I should keep telling myself, because even I was saying to a friend the other day, I was like, it feels hard at the moment because it's a lot of invisible graft. Like, it's really, really hard. I'm doing all this stuff, but it's none of that I've seen yet. I should have had your voice in my head saying, well, it's because you're in the other 67. You're not in the 3 at this moment. You're in the other 67. So this is a lesson that I need to take as well and remind myself of. It's the graft behind the scenes that often makes then what you actually do really powerful, because you've done the work. Not because people are watching, but because it's that what it takes to actually get there.
Yeah,
what an incredible
absolutely.
story.
Yeah. And we flip it the wrong way round. We think we're in the spotlight for 67 minutes and that the 3 minutes, we'll just put a little token gesture into, the hard work, whatever it might be. We could talk for a long time of what those other skills need to be successful in the spotlight. But you're right, when it does feel tough, you're right. We spend the time in the 67, not in the 3, and you've got to get comfortable with that. And so those 3 minutes are when you really, really nail it.
I need to post it note around my house, the other 67. Is it a 3 day or is it a other 67 day? I'm just going to ask myself that. It's like, what day is this today? It's the other 67. Okay, cool. It doesn't need to be visible. No one needs to see it, but you know that is going to prepare you for the moments that really count. So what a powerful lesson.
And that's brilliant. I need you to write my taglines and my copy, Laura.
Well, that is what we do at the Ripple Impact. We help people with their brand storytelling. So I can absolutely help you do that. It's these little things that you tell yourself as an individual or as a team or as a leader or as a business that actually can fundamentally change the way you think, how you perceive the work that you're doing, and therefore how you deliver and how you show up. So such incredible lessons in self-management, but also in leadership and how you share that with other people. Such a powerful story. Wow. I mean, good on you for coming up with the other 67, because it's such a wonderful brand name, and to have such a powerful story underneath it is really incredible. So you should be very proud of it.
Oh, thank you.
So how does it feel to know that you're going into round 2 of representing England?
I feel like knowledge is power in this context now, because I've been on that journey once before and I know what to expect. So I think that for me will settle my nerves at the moment at which it really matters. I've experienced, what being 10 days, 2 weeks in the kind of the hotel environment and the England squads being there and what all of that means, and in the changing rooms and how I'm going to show up on the pitch. So there's a bit of familiarity,
Yeah.
which is helpful. It's the World Cup. We go up a level this time. It's not just the Europeans, it's the World Cup. And arguably the big dogs come out at the World Cup in a hockey sense, So it's going to be a challenge, and but we are very, very capable of getting that gold medal. So my journey for me is manifesting that gold medal now. I've got 5 months to get my mental strength honed and also my physical strength. So that's my journey. So I'm excited, I'm ready, and I'm as part of the squad of 18. Collectively, we talk about high performing teams. Every single one of those ladies in the room will be, as passionate as I am. And when you've got 18 people all pushing in the same direction with a brilliant coach, by the way, she is outstanding, and she is pushing us hard mentally and physically to succeed. So yeah, I'm really excited. Can't wait we've got new kit as well, so I can't wait to get my new kit.
Wow. Oh, it's so incredible, and so like the biggest of congratulations, because just to be selected is such an incredible achievement, to be representing your country and our country. A huge congratulations. I'm so proud of you. Like, it's just such an incredible thing to do on top of running a successful business. These are the kind of people and the kind of stories that I want to highlight, because it's just so inspirational for me, and I'm sure others will find it too. What lessons from the hockey pitch are you taking into the other 67 and the leadership and the training and the coaching that you do now in your business, whether that's for yourself as a team player, the team, and coaching as well, because there's so many incredible parallels between professional sports and high performing teams in a corporate sense.
Yeah, we've touched a little bit in talking about the essence of what the other 67 is, and doing the hard stuff when nobody's watching. Absolutely, that runs through, as a business owner, a little bit of what I teach in the classroom around honing the human skill in order to be able to be successful. There are other elements that I've taken from my experience with the England setup, in the coach being really, really pivotal to the success of a team and setting the team up for success. So if I give you an example of a couple of years ago when I got selected, the trial system, all the players who were interested showed up, and the coach then, she got us all together at the beginning, and she said, "You're all decent hockey players. I don't need to see you dribbling around a cone. I want to see you play hockey. That's what I want to see. I want hockey players. I want to see you play hockey." And so she set us up to do little matches. And what it did was lower the bar for me in terms of nerves, because
Yeah.
I know how to play hockey. That's, when I come to life. Get me to precisely dribble around a cone wouldn't bring out the best in me, because that brings my levels of anxiety up about being a competent hockey player. So
Yeah.
she opened the floodgates for me just to be myself. And so she set up the platform for success. And I think that's really important, that as a leader, you're really tuned into what works for the team. What she needed to see was hockey players. How do I enable these hockey players to showcase what they can bring? So there's a bit about, how do you set your team up for success and play to their strengths, not just what you need to see as a leader or have as a leader. And also where your attention goes, your energy goes. So enabling us to stay focused. And in the hockey sense, we played a tournament, European Cup. So we were playing most days, and we had to be on our game for 10 days solid. So how do you stay focused? How does your attention stay on task to what we're trying to achieve? And again, the coach, but also the 18 of us in the squad, held ourselves accountable to how we show up each and every day on the pitch and off the pitch. So that runs through as well in terms of that consistency of behavior on an ongoing basis.
Yeah, fantastic. And the dynamics of a team, right? Because you've got 18 individual people But ultimately, it's about the team and how you deliver and how you show up and how you support each other, how you lean on each other, the camaraderie, the communication, the managing conflict. It's such a dynamic and interesting thing, a team, because it lives and breathes and changes every day depending on what's going on in people's lives and how they feel and how they show up. And that's as true in the boardroom as it is on the hockey pitch of how are you feeling today and how can I support you and how can I help you be the best you can be in this match. And I think there's so much parallels in how we can take that into the boardroom and teams and how we support each other on the same goal. Because I think sometimes in organizations, that's one of the challenges is you've got a site and it's a gold medal. There's one goal. Whereas in organizations, sometimes it's not always clear what the goal is. And I think that's sometimes where the friction can come in teams. So such wonderful lessons.
Yeah. And actually just picking up on something you've said then around how you support one another. There was an incident where one of my teammates, and she wasn't talking to me, I just happened to be in earshot of what she was saying. She was speaking with one of her teammates and we'd come off the pitch and the teammate hadn't passed the ball to her in a moment where she maybe thought the ball should have been passed to her. And instead of saying, why didn't you pass the ball to me in that moment? She said, what am I not doing for you in that moment? Because you didn't pass the ball to me, but what am I not doing in that moment for you to know that I'm there and available to help you?
That's incredible.
And I just thought that was magic.
Yeah.
Because there might have been, you can uncover so much more from saying that rather than why didn't you do for me? It's what
so
am I not
powerful.
doing for you? What am I getting wrong that means that you didn't make that decision? What can I learn?
Wow, I love that. I need to write that down too. I'm going to post this all over my house of quotes from Liz and your fellow teammates. It's such a beautiful, powerful thought because the assumption isn't that you did something wrong. It's like, what am I not doing? And also, I think what that does beautifully is it opens the door for a very powerful conversation because it might have just been, I didn't see you. Okay. You're assuming that the person chose not to pick you and not to pass it to you, but actually there could have been 100 different reasons why that didn't manifest. So that is such a powerful reframe. I love that. Wow. We always ask on the Ripple Impact the same question at the end to all of our guests. So we call our guests wave makers because they're making waves on the industry and in your case on the world of hockey, which is absolutely incredible. In a leadership context, what advice would you give to aspiring wave makers?
So I actually will pinch this one from Mel Robbins, but it is something that I have really championed myself. And I think it's so powerful. And it's as simple as no one's coming. So if you want to make the change, if you want to be better than yesterday, we're grown-ups, we have to take accountability and you've got to step into that space of wanting to change. Nobody's coming to do it for you. And with that, I would definitely say, listen to what you're feeling. If we go back to the start of our conversation with the chapters in my book of life, it was those feelings, those fundamental changes that happened that created this feeling of disquiet with what I was doing in my work life that made me think, do you know what, I'm not in flow. There's something jarring here. There's friction. So that would be my second message. Listen to what you're feeling. And then depending on what it's saying to you, acknowledge that no one's coming. So do with that what you will.
I love that. Liz Byrne, thank you so much for walking us through the chapters of your life, from FMCG to corporate pivots to well-being to entrepreneurship to gold medal winning hockey and the journey you're about to go on. Such incredible stories and such amazing lessons in incredible bosses, great leadership, how to be incredible, high-performing teams, and what has manifested in gold medals. So we wish you all the very best of luck in the World Cup. We are sending all our love and wishes and hope for an incredible games and gold medal round 2. I have absolutely full belief. Thank you so much for sharing your journey, and the power of working in the other 67 is such an incredible lesson.
Thank you, Laura. It's been an absolute delight, so I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. If you're a founder or leader looking to elevate the human storytelling of your business, please get in touch with us at The Ripple Impact so we can see how we can help your business grow. That is a wrap on this Ripple episode. Tune in weekly for more bold voices and incredible, inspiring Wavemaker guests. Don't forget to subscribe and follow. I am Laura Barber. This is The Ripple Impact. Liz, thank you so much, as always, for your time. It's been wonderful to speak to you. For everyone else, we will see you next week. Take care. Bye for now.